Hello everyone, I'm Ulysses, and today I'm with Marcus Bridgewater, and better known as Garden Marcus. He's an influencer who promotes positivity and spiritual awareness through gardening and plant growth. He's also an acclaimed author who published the book How to Grow, Nurture Your Garden, Nurture Yourself, which teaches us how to prosper personal development. He's also the founder and CEO of Choiceforward, which shares a lot of insight on how to improve wellness, productivity, and positive thinking and fostering healthier environments. Very nice to meet you today.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
So what originally inspired you to go down this path of inspiring people on personal growth with plants and gardening?
Wow. What originally inspired me was trying to find a way to maintain my own personal well-being. And I found that gardening was a great way to maintain my personal well-being. And in maintaining my personal well-being, I found it was easier for me to do my job and to interact with my students, to interact with my family. And I found myself encouraging other people to try gardening as a way to alleviate some of the tension in their lives. And then the next thing I knew, I was drawing larger parallels to gardening in everyday life and in everyday conversation.
I love that it's super creative. So did you always love gardening and love plants when you were a kid, or it kind of just like caught on?
I grew up in the country. I grew up in my adopted grandmother's garden, and she would have us water her hibiscus, and she would have us pick the kumquats from the tree. We would climb the trees. Her kumquat tree was 30 feet tall.
Wow.
It was a really beautiful rural area that I got to grow up in. So I had an appreciation for nature. Now, at the same time, that appreciation for nature did not lead to me gardening. It wasn't until I bought my first house and someone gifted me a bunch of plants to put inside my house that really kicked off my gardening journey, because I got those plants home and I killed more than half of it within just a couple months, and I was devastated. And I did everything I could to try to learn how to keep the rest alive, and that took me on a journey that helped tie in how much I was learning from my garden.
That sounds absolutely amazing. So how do you incorporate gardening into promoting positivity and wellness, and how does this help the community?
Okay, I incorporate wellness and the thoughts around wellness by talking about things like our mind, our body, and our spirit, and basically breaking apart humanity, mental health, physical fitness, spiritual awareness. These are things that are really intricate to people, just like a plant has leaves, stems, and roots. We need to look at all the parts of the plant if we are to make sure that the plant is going to be healthy. Same way we need to look at all the parts of ourselves. So getting people to stop and address themselves holistically has been really important. And part of that is thinking not only about your mind, your body, and spirit, but also doing it from a lens that's going to be uplifting. So we talk a lot about kindness, patience, positivity. Those things apply directly from the garden, because you need to be kind to plants, right? You go around hacking at them, you can't expect them to grow. You got to be patient. You can't expect fruit in a day. Fruit takes many days to mature, to be able to be appreciated, to be delicious. And in that same way, you have to be positive that life will keep growing, right? If you see nothing in the ground and you just give up, well, you don't appreciate that there's seeds underneath the soil waiting to grow. So each one of these concepts are key principles towards growth, not only for the plant life, but also for the life that we share.
I think a lot of people nowadays ignore their mental aspect, because what we see right now, I only see my physical body, right? So if I get like a physical injury, if I, trip and fall, that's easy. But mental health, I think it's much deeper than that, because you can't see mental health. And I love that how your book, kind of like talks about that spiritual and mental awareness, something that we can't see, but it is very important to our health.
And
I love the quote in the book, growth cannot be forced, only fostered. And what is an example from your life that relates to this quote?
I'll give you one that's people related, not just plant related, because you can read about a ton of the plant related ones. I've had students who are having hard times in their lives. Maybe their family member has cancer. Maybe they've failed at something they've been trying really hard at. Maybe they've moved from somewhere far away and they're not feeling connected to their peers. I can't just go up and say, hey, you feel better.
Yeah.
That's not how life works. I can't make this person do anything, but I can create an environment where this person will feel welcome, where this person will feel like they want to come and participate. The same way of thinking, sometimes people aren't good at math, people aren't good at whatever it is, but if you foster the environment where that person just wants to show up and you make learning the byproduct of being there through games and through activities, all of a sudden someone's learning, right? And it wasn't forced upon them. It was something they wanted to be a part of. They wanted to involve themselves in. So that's how I apply it in my everyday.
Yeah. I think one example from me is because we're in a golf course. When I started learning golf, my only goal was try to hit the ball as hard and as fast as I can. Like, that was my only, because I thought if I hit the ball harder, or if I hit the ball, swing the club faster, the ball will go far. But it's not the case.
Right.
Obviously, you have a specific technique. You need to be very accurate with it. You can't just be, swinging very randomly. And I think that looking back, if I had a little more patience, if I slowed my swing down a little, if I, examined, hey, maybe my hand and my technique wasn't right. If I slowed down and be a little more patient, I would have been a better golfer. And I think that's a great example on that. You can't force growth, right? You can't just force the swing. You gotta grow on it, and it can only be fostered. And a question is, what were some challenges you faced throughout your gardening journey, and how did you resolve them?
Throughout my gardening journey, I've faced all kinds of challenges. Many of them could not get the resolve I wanted, right? And I thought about this a lot because sometimes I wanted to save a plant and I wasn't able to. But I feel like because I decided to learn from that experience, I'm able to save more plants later, right? So some of the problems that I faced were watering too much, not understanding each plant individually needs a certain amount of water, right? I wanted to just water them as I would and just go around, but that's not how it works. So adjusting and making continuous adjustments has been the best solution I've had to any of the garden problems I've had.
And this is just a fun question. I know that your hometown is in Zellwood, Florida. So if someone was to go visit Zellwood, what would you recommend them to do?
Oh my goodness. Zellwood's changed a lot since I was a child. Let's just state that, because I would want to encourage you to run through the cornfields and grab a fresh orange. Doesn't exist anymore. Now I would tell you should probably go to somewhere like Rock Springs. Or Kelly Park. They are some places that are in my hometown that are absolutely stunning. They are parks and recreational centers there and they're a natural spring. Many people have never been to a natural spring.
May I ask, what is a natural spring again?
A natural spring is where the water is coming out of the ground continuously, and it's fresh water, and it's tied to some sort of a channel or a river. And it's very deep in the earth. That water is some of the best water. And I now have crossed all kinds of places in our world. And I think of my hometown and I enjoy going there and going to that water when I can.
That sounds like a beautiful place. When I was reading your book, I was reading it, and it said that when you were a kid, you had a speech impediment. And I wanted to bring this up because when I was a kid, I didn't know how to speak English because English was my first language. My first language is Mandarin. So I was also kind of made fun of. So how did you grow and overcome this challenge over time?
Practice. I contorted my face and my tongue. I made strange sounds as loud and as quiet as I could. I practiced making any sound that I could hear until I started to understand my tongue and my ear and where there was a disconnect. And so I feel like it's important that anyone who wants to challenge themselves to overcome what could be a weakness or an impediment challenge themselves to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And to practice in every moment of every day.
I love how you say like think outside of the box, because especially when I didn't know English and I need to learn a new language, I would put myself kind of I would only speak English, right? So I tried to only speak English at school, you know. So obviously my friends at school they only know how to speak English, so I surrounded myself with people who only spoke English. So I was kind of forced to go outside of my comfort zone, right? Kind of think outside the box. And I love how if you think outside the box and kind of go out of your comfort zone, you kind of force yourself, but this also kind of helps you grow and understand, like, you know, how you can grow and how to become better.
I give you, before you continue, I'll give you a metaphor right quick, just so you can think about it. Imagine you have a planter, and inside this planter, you have a seed. You plant the seed, and the seed begins to grow. Yay! Well, the seed will continue to grow, and eventually, at some point, the seed will likely outgrow its planter. Many of us never take ourselves and put ourselves outside of the comfort zone of the planter we grew in, so that we can spread our roots and actually grow larger.
Wow. That's actually really, it got me thinking now, because I think a lot of people kind of confine themselves and I also like to talk about, you know, like mental health. A lot of people like, oh, I can't do this or can't do that. But I think that if putting outside in your comfort zone, you can really think outside the box and kind of help you grow. So I thank you for that analogy. Sorry, is there anything you plan to do on the future, like writing a new book?
Yeah, actually, I've already written 2 other books that are coming out soon. One book is coming out, another HarperCollins book. It's going to be a journal. It's called Seasons of Growth, and it's inspired by trees. It is coming out in September. And I also have a children's book coming out next year, and that's going to be called Grow with Marcus. And that's about a young Marcus growing some things in a garden with his grandmother.
I'm really excited, looking forward to that. Is there any advice that you would give to the younger generation in living a more positive life?
Yes. Okay. I actually wrote this entire back section for the younger generation, because I thought, you know, as a teacher, what did I want to impart upon the next generation? But then also thinking about it in reference to how those principles apply not only to this age, but to the elder age as well, right? The biggest one is don't rush, okay? I think that's super important, and I only pulled the book because it's like the last couple mean a lot to me. So advice to the future generation: don't rush. Take your time. Try to practice your awareness. Awareness is a difficult thing, and many people don't have it. Practice it, and that takes time. So slow down, absorb as much as you can while you can, where you are. The other one, growth is your choice. You can keep growing outside the planter that you've been given, but many people won't know what to do with it. Right? And you've got to be respectful and also be willing to learn. It's a key part, because when you put your roots outside of the planter, right, your roots start to intertwine with other people. And that requires a degree of patience and a degree of willingness to open yourself up to understanding others. That can be very difficult. So my advice, again, slow down, be grateful, and learn from each other. Everywhere you can.
I think a lot of young people undermine that they have time, right? You know, but time is a very valuable thing. But as we grow, you know, we kind of have less of it, you know? So I think that I really love your story about, you know, be patient, but also, you know, like learn how to grow and also to improve, but also, you know, with this process. So I love how, you know, because as young people, you know, we have like a lot of time, but like as we grow, we need to learn how to use this time wisely.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, especially the youth, make the mistake of thinking that patience is a passive activity.
Yeah.
But patience is an active process, right? And the more you meditate, the more you find stillness, the more you realize the mind can race.
Yeah.
Learning to control the mind is like learning to truly put reins and steer the horse. It gives you so much more access to power.
Hey, thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
It has been a pleasure meeting you.
Right back at you, buddy.
Thank you.